signed Pun.
Okay. So, did you know Fat Joe at the time?
No. Fat Joe calls me with a guy named Mickey Benson. I was in Chicago with Quincy Jones.
Okay.
And he goes, I need to see you. I got this artist I think will be great for you. So I take this meeting, and I just fell in love with Joe. Pun wasn't there at the time. And
Okay.
he plays me this freestyle. I was like, all right, this is cool. I said, bring Pun up tomorrow, because like I said, I got to go back to LA. Bring Pun up tomorrow if you can, and I want to do something. He goes, don't bullshit me. I'm like, I'm not bullshitting.
Right, because Fat Joe was already on what, Relativity
He was
or
on
something?
Relativity.
And he had a moderate success like Flo Joe
yeah.
and the stuff like that, yeah.
So this is where Maddie comes in. The meeting is at 11 o'clock, because I remember I used to take like a 3 o'clock flight so I could be home and say goodnight to my son.
Mm-hmm.
And Maddie's in my office. Me and Maddie shared an office, but he was never in the office.
Okay.
So I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, aren't you seeing Joe and Pun? I'm like, yeah. I said, you're in for this? And that's when I knew Pun was done. So Joe and Pun walk in, and I just say, who's your lawyer? You got a deal. Joe thinks I'm full of shit.
Now, have you heard any records at this point?
I heard one little freestyle. That's it. But Maddie showed up on time. That's how much I trusted Maddie.
Okay.
And Maddie never, I had a royalty check for Maddie, which he never picked up. So he was a purist to a T.
Yeah.
So, and then Free walks in. So it was like Maddie and Free walk in, and I'm like, this is crazy. Joe goes, you better not be bullshitting me. I'm not bullshitting you. Call Tim. Tim was Wu-Tang's lawyer, and we'll get this done now.
Okay, do you remember how big that deal was?
It was $250.
Okay, so it was a nice chunk.
Yeah.
Okay. And was it through Fat Joe?
Through Terror Squad, yeah.
Through Terror Squad. Okay. So Big Pun doesn't audition for you or nothing? Because, I've been in the office with you. I've seen people audition and everything else like that, but you didn't even bother to do that. Matty C co-signed it, and you were right there with him.
Yeah.
Who had Matty C signed it up at this point?
He was involved with the...
Wu-Tang?
Not Wu-Tang. Mob.
Mobb Deep.
And Dead Prez.
Okay. So you signed Big Pun. When do you start hearing the actual records?
A few months later.
So you're not even tripping. You trust the process. When you first heard the Pun records, what did you think?
The first record I heard was You Ain't a Killer.
Yeah, that was the first single. That was like
that was a white label
mixtapes.
Yeah, that was just a street record.
Yeah, you ain't a killer. You just learned how to walk. Yeah, which was cool.
It was a good record.
Yeah,
and did its purpose. So we came with that, did what it was supposed to do. Nothing higher, nothing less. Did what it exactly was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Then we come with I'm Not a Player, a sample by the OJs, My Darling,
Right.
Darling Baby.
Mm-hmm.
The record, we're getting a little radio play. Joe calls me with Maddie. He says, we have a remix for I'm Not, and they play it to me over the phone. And I'm like, when is he going? And Punch singing the hook.
The remix for?
Still Not a Player. For I'm Not a Player. For Still Not a Player. I said, you got to shoot a video for this. When are you finishing the record? And we got to send the record to radio ASAP. It's the first radio record I really ever had. So this was all done.
Right, yeah, because Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, these were not radio artists.
No.
Yeah.
So within 48 hours, the record's done. We shoot this fucking video, and the record is gone.
And Big Pun becomes the first Latino platinum artist.
Rapper, yeah.
Solo, because I think like Cypress Hill went platinum, right?
Yeah.
But as a group.
But as a group. This was
as the first solo Latino rapper. Okay. And becomes like a legendary figure in hip hop.
Exactly.
How devastating was it when you found out about Pun dying?
It was devastating in all aspects. So I'm miserable at Sony now. I go to Hawaii with my wife and my son, and I decide I'm going to resign from Sony. And I FedEx a letter to Tommy Mottola saying I'm resigning. And if he wants the money back, he could have the money back. And I'm going to move to Hawaii, and I'm going to just do whatever. So I'm an athlete, so I'm playing tennis with the tennis pro. And these two big Hawaiian Samoans come running up. Mr. Rifkind, you have an emergency on the mainland. Nobody knows where I am except for my mother.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking somebody died, but I wasn't thinking any of my heart. I'm thinking, somebody in my family. and it's Rich saying, it looks like Pun is dead. I'm like, Rich, either he's dead or not dead, you know. He goes, call Joe. He had a massive, you know. So I called Joe, and he just died as I was calling Joe.
Right, and Pun was 600 pounds at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I remember Rich Isaacson telling me, and you know, I heard this from Cuban Link and some other people, is that
Pun was gaining weight, right in your baby, at Sony Studios, with a bed inside the studio, with a mic by the bed, because it got to that point that he got too many yes men around him, man. Everything he would say, they'll do. You know, when I first came in there and I seen that, I was like, yo, my nigga, what are you doing? This shit look like your bedroom.
So with me being so depressed being at Sony, and then him passing, I mean, I remember, and we just wrote him a tremendous check too. I jump on a plane, you know, I have my staff, my LA staff, meet me at the airport, change, whatever, because the pilots had to change within like a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And then we all just jumped on a different plane and landed, you know, we landed in Teterboro, and I went straight to Joe's house. And the rest is,
yeah, sad. But the second album still comes out.
yeah.
With 100%.
100%. It's so hard.
Yeah, it's so hard. Yeah. Great album. The album went multi-platinum.
Yeah, 2 million.
Sad.